Good morning, everybody. It's Merritt Minnemeyer. I'm the founder and creator of Master of One Coaching, and it is time once again for Leadership Live Friday. Yay! Everybody get the Muppet clap. I am so happy to bring my friend and colleague Ian Limbaga here today. And he is an incredible artist and creative. He's an amazing storyteller. I love that you bill yourself as an experimenter, because that's part of what makes us so interesting and exciting. And I think part of what brings purpose to life as humans is the idea of experimenting and being creative. And I don't want to say too much more about you, except that I will say that I had a conversation with one of our mutual friends yesterday, Tim Colson.
Oh, Tim. Yes.
He was so excited you were going to be here today. Could not say enough nice things. He's like, he's such a good soul. He's like, we're two peas in a pod. He is like one of the best people you'll ever know. So and you radiate that energy, but just so that you know, you have an extra, I'm sure you know that already, but you have another cheerleader out there who is super happy just to be in the world. So tell us a little about you, Ian. Tell us your story about how you got to where you are now, and then we'll shift that into kind of more of your purpose and working on in line with your values and how you sort of found. Tell us your story from beginning to now.
All right. So I will actually start from 2018, 2019. I think that's a good pivotal moment because I came to this country like back in 1999, right after college, regular job, regular life, need to, just compete, just follow the typical career path. But 2018 was the moment where I actually decided to say, I've been 12 years in my job. I have an international assignment, or I have an international offering for a role, and I said no to it. And the reason why I said no to it was that, is this the job that I want to retire from? And the answer at the back of my head was no. And I said, let me try something else. This is scary as hell, but I'm young, or at least if I have to fail, then I have still a few years to recover from failure. So I left that, I would say, very comfortable, also quite challenging job from a really great company with great teams. And it was an HR technology role. So I was in HR, I did talent development, I was leading a team, I was a manager for 8 years. And I had to shift into a strategy design consultant role. So a lot of my friends and colleagues are saying, like, how do you do that shift? Like, Ian, you're committing career suicide, because people usually try to build their career from like one area and then build on top of it. I had to kind of like really do a whole reinvention, but that reinvention story also made me realize that the reinvention actually is just a matter of like digging deep and looking for something that you can transfer. So 2018 was a strategy consulting role. 2019, I thought I had a dream job, but unfortunately I was laid off. That was October. And then right off of that, instead of feeling stressed, I said, you know what, this is probably a calling for me to actually try a different visual medium. Like mentioned, I was already an artist. I was doing illustration. I was doing caricatures. I was doing photography. I never really was doing film. I thought film was too much work, and it was like outside of my skill set. And then I said, I have this time now to enroll in film school. So right on that, I think I got laid off October. By September, I enrolled at a 6-week film documentary program that was going to start in February. All right. So before February, I said, what do I know about film? I said, well, in my strategy consulting, the common thread has always been you create influence through story. And story then was like a measure of something. I realized, what if I go deeper into this whole story thing? And another pivot, I actually enrolled myself at a story hackathon sponsored by the School of Visual Arts in New York City. It was a 3-day hackathon program. I really don't know what it was all about. All I saw was story workshop. And it was with artists. This is the first time in my life where I'm actually surrounded by artists, and I'm the only one who doesn't have any professional art background or experience. Long story short, that story hackathon took it was just over the weekend. There was a contest, there was a story prompt, and I thought our team was going to lose it because we were just like not gelling enough Friday night and Saturday night. But we kind of came through and we actually won the hackathon. So to today, we're actually still like catching up on each other through WhatsApp. One of our teammates is in Korea, one of our teammates is in Germany. So it's an
Oh,
international
wow.
team. So
Cool.
it's like amazing to really get that type of diversity from people. So I was just fortunate enough to have met those amazing people. Um, now that I proved that, hey, there's something that I know about story that I can bring into film school. And when I went to film school, I thought it was just going to be like, how to handle a camera, how to do lighting and all that stuff. We spent a good amount of time breaking down the structure of story. So for some of your listeners here, especially for us who are entrepreneurs, we know the power of storytelling, right? Especially
Mhm.
for marketing, talking about the transformation, and everybody knows about Joseph Campbell's Hero with 1,000 Faces, or at least most of us would. I mean, when you're going deep into story. So film school just kind of like put that on steroids. 6 week program. It was a 6 week program. We looked at Aristotle's structure for drama. In that 6 week program, all the students produced 4 mini documentary films between 5 to 8 minutes. So it was a crash course in storytelling, timing, team production, teamwork, and all like the beautiful, wonderful things that I wish corporations would know when it comes to how you actually make your team work when everyone's stressed out.
Mhm.
Um, so from that time, again, like I mentioned, that was February. I didn't have a job. I needed to find a job, and I was able to score potential prospects for my pivotal film career. But those film prospects were scheduled in March of 2020, and we
Oh
all knew
gosh.
what and we all knew what happened in March 2020. So from I guess from 2018 to 2020, I lost count of how many pivots I had to go through,
Mm.
um, and that was kind of like my just like down to the wire moment. I lost those clients. So now my wife and I were talking about like how do we now just make sure we stay in the area where we live because we love the area here in New Rochelle. So I just picked up my camera, went around New Rochelle, and talked to the businesses that we kind of support and and learned how they were pivoting their businesses as well. And that mini film kind of got some good traction. About 11,000 views in just like under 5 days.
Wow, that's
Uh,
awesome.
and one of the restaurants we actually interviewed, or I interviewed, kind of like hired me to be its kind of like marketing and operations consultant. So at
Mhm.
least I was able to learn again. Who would know from an HR guy, a tech guy, and who became a film guy automatically now becomes a restaurant operations consultant guy. Um, and that kind of like really opened my eyes to like different types of people, the power of a small business. And through it all, I met new friends and I met you guys. And
Mhm.
for some reason, I think I had an experiment telling myself, whatever's going to happen, either I go back to a 9 to 5 or continue with the consulting. I always put deadlines. And thankfully, December of 2020, I was able to land a job that I have now, which is almost like purpose driven. I said, I won't accept any job that actually combines my art skills, design skills, and it has to do something with health of their environment.
Mm.
And the company that I work for now is one of the major health data companies. And in my role, I'm like in design role, so it kind of fits the whole design, health, and art aspect. And the people are great. They support creativity. They support kind of crazy thinking to solve problems. And part of that now is more like the story is like being in design strategy. I have to live and breathe story, how to influence others, because not just management, but also how we create our products in a way that it actually kind of makes people's lives better. Because the company I work for, we actually affect everybody's health in
Mhm.
terms of data, in terms of how insurance companies do coverage and all that stuff. So and that's where I'm at today.
What an amazing story. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I think one of the things I want to pull out of that is that you really is the power of following your gut, right? Following your intuition. And so I heard you make a few different choices there, like, I have this hunch that I might be good at this, or I have an interest in this. What happens if I follow this a little bit further?
Mhm.
And then you did that, and then you asked that kind of question again. Is what happens if I follow it even further than that, or what if it did? And you really, it sounds like you just had a lot of faith in, or at least enough faith, maybe not a lot, but enough to get you to the next point in the story where, and you were trusting yourself enough to know that it was going to take you somewhere that was going to mean something to you, which I think is such an important piece of learning to remember. I mean, so many of us have gone through incredible transition over the last 18 months, right? I mean, gosh, and we can talk about, what's happening is a paradigm shift now in work, in the world of work, and globally, not just in our country here. But you started this kind of early on. You said you sort of trusted yourself and said, I'm going to take this leap you came from the Philippines. Yeah.
Yes.
And how old were you when you made that?
I was 19. I was 19 years old right after college. So my mom moved here first. She was in her, and so after 19, and the challenge for me was I was in a degree that I would have loved to stay in the Philippines because I was a marine biology student. So Southeast Asia, Japan, scuba diving, sea, and then I was a scientist. I was a trained scientist, so I could just imagine. I would have imagined a life of like going out in nature, then going back to the lab, going back to nature, going back to the lab. It's like I could have done that until I retire.
Yeah.
But of course, moving here to the States was like, again, I had to do a pivot. Part of the story of purpose was one of my major jobs. I actually worked for the 9/11 recovery program as an IT person. And again, not having any IT or programming skills except from a priest friend who trained me how to code SQL for 3 days when I was in one of my vacations. I came back here in 2001, having to have I have to look for jobs, do an interview. I was supposed to have an interview at one of the towers. Thankfully, my train was late, so I missed. I'm still here.
Goodness, wow, that's another.
That's,
story. Holy cow!
Story, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I volunteered for the American Red Cross because they had, they were looking for volunteers as a disaster services company. And I said, yeah, I mean, I was there. So it's a no brainer. It's just something I needed to do. I think 3 months on, they needed some database. Hey, and somebody said, hey, who knows how to create a database? I can. And that became kind of like a first job offering at the American Red Cross for the IT department. And again, I just realize like, what's a marine biology guy doing in an IT department? I was creating databases, doing reports, doing analytics, all the way to, after 4 years, I moved into a corporate role, into a for-profit role. And then that's when I spent like a good 12 years of my professional career being in leadership positions, management positions, being in change management, talent management. And that's where I also really learned the power of and that I wasn't even consciously doing it, but the power of story, where to lead with story is really empathizing. It's really using empathy. Because as a leader, it's more like sometimes we just want our staff to do what they need to do. But what I learned was, if you connect with your team, if you connect with your staff at a level where you actually, as a leader, take time to know what makes them tick, that simple effort is kind of like a gift that gives on giving, because when they appreciate it, they'll do everything for you, right?
Yes.
They'll do everything for you. It's like, it's like you're the one who's going to ask, no, that's enough. It's my turn. Let me take it away from you. So that was a really big learning for me. Of course, that doesn't mean I was always nice. There was a time I was a nasty leader. I got angry, but during those transitions of really learning how to kind of get into the head of your teams and what makes them tick. Because at the because everybody says turn is sort of match the value of your team to the value of the business. Sometimes there's a disconnect, But then sometimes if you just find that nugget of this part of your work fits your character and your values, let's tackle challenges that way. And I've learned that seems to have really been a really good formula of interacting with people, finding people that jive with you and your vibration, your value system. So I've used that as my compass so far, and it served me well so far.
I so appreciate your saying this, because this is something that, I mean, we do see this emerging of this understanding of values of connection and how it builds trust. And it really, right, again, people are saying, I'm not going back to that job right now. They're saying, I'm not going back to that job where I wasn't treated well, or where my boss wasn't nice to me, or where the conditions weren't great, because I just don't want to spend my life that way anymore. And it's taken this incredible crisis, this global crisis, for people to kind of finally take that stand for themselves. And of course, it's not as, that I'm oversimplifying a little bit, but
Yeah.
and I apologize, there's a little bit of background noise here. We got people in my house who are, once again, I always have something going on. We have people who are here to service my air conditioning.
That's just layers.
Yeah, it's just like, exactly, it's just layers. Story of being working from home today. And we are grateful for the air conditioning, so I'm not complaining. At any rate, understanding that the human relationship and human connection and the power of that, it really, it's not just self-sustaining, but it takes us so much farther than we even anticipate. Yeah. And it does feel sometimes like, especially if we're up against metrics or, you know, expectations, or a boss above us who's got whatever, shareholders, whatever, who are saying, you know, we have to meet X, Y, and Z. It feels sometimes like it's just so much more of a heavy lift to actually take that step and get to know people that are working on our teams. But when we do it, work actually becomes so much easier and so much more fun, so much more enjoyable, right? But exactly. So, and I love that you're connecting that with story. So I want to ask you a little bit more about that in a minute, but I just want to acknowledge that you have such a fan club here today. And I apologize because I can see some comments coming through and some that are just, I can't see all of them, I don't think, but I'm going to go around. After this is over, we'll come back around and address any comments that we missed. But I want to bring up a couple here. Let's see. Wayne says, good morning. He also says that talking about your, he must have been one of the people who you did the
yes, he's the restaurant owner, yes.
Fantastic. What's his restaurant?
Rockin' Ramen. So it's a ramen. It's a Japanese restaurant with a Caribbean twist.
Ooh, that sounds like my favorite thing. Where is it? Is it New Rochelle?
Yes, in New Rochelle.
All right, awesome.
Let us know when you're here. I mean, yeah, they're doing renovations. They should be open next week. So yes.
Wayne, I'm coming to meet you. And then, who is this? We are so proud of you, your cousin Ian. We are watching from the Philippines. It's so cool. Thank you so much for watching from the Philippines. Much love to you. And is this a family member?
Yes, his family. It's my cousin.
Your cousin. Awesome.
He has a twin.
Oh, really? How cool. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for watching today. Lucia, who we've had on a few weeks ago. Hi, Lucia. Yep. She actually introduced you and me together. And let's see. I see someone else here. She also says that 11,000 views. That's amazing. It totally is. It looks like Rick says, so many amazing gifts this man has, all coming from his beautiful heart.
Yep, he's a partner. We have a program called Action Nation. So I won't talk about that here, but then yeah, we'll elaborate about. I could elaborate that thing for next time. But yes, he's awesome. a great soul also. Rick.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Carol. And
Tim, who I mentioned earlier, says, I got no one. Sorry, I clicked on Tim and then Myron came up. So yeah. Myron says, hey, Ian, proud of you, brother, and how awesome your story is. It's amazing. And then Tim, there's Tim, says, Ian is the man, great guy, filled with purpose. Awesome. And we'll have Tim on I think next week actually too.
Oh, nice.
So a theme going on here. So, amazing. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us this morning and for supporting Ian and being part of our conversation. If anybody has any questions for Ian, definitely put those in the chat. And if I can't see them live, I will come back, or he will come back and address them later, I'm sure. But thank you so much again for engaging there and for offering your support. All right, so tell me a little bit more now about how story connects with your leadership specifically. Do you have any good little anecdotes or?
Yeah, I think, and I think it's a good piggyback of what you were talking about. Like, sometimes leaders and stakeholders, sometimes many of us who are in middle management or like maybe just below C level, always think about, sometimes I coin a term, sometimes we demonize our managers.
Right.
And one thing that has helped me with my transitions into actually, like when I said, I'm going to leave my comfortable job and actually not burn any bridges, is I've learned this perspective of everybody's just doing the best that they can.
Hmm.
So as far as story is concerned, it's more like I have to realize that they too had a pivotal moment in their life that transformed how they see things, and that's where they are today. Whether we like how they treat us or how they run the business, it's more like I looked at it from the perspective again of stories that even the way we like or prefer one thing over the other, that's our story. That's our version of our story. So how do I now become kind of like be accepting of certain differences? It's more like, and that's why I really love where I'm working right now in design strategies, that we really focus on empathy. We really focus on being in somebody else's shoes. And I realized that in my own leadership journey, story has helped me kind of take a step back and also realize that there's a person that I might disagree with, I might even hate, but even that hate and that disagreement is more like I can now put that in the back burner because I can use story as a filter to see they might have gone through something in their lives to actually be who they are. So instead of me judging them, let me just find a way to work together. And
Hmm.
in my story and their story, there's the connection. So that's what I do now. Like I try to look for that little nugget, like silver lining of connection. And even if it's just like the color of the shirt, the type of watch, or a stray hair on the face, uh, that becomes a connecting point. Just like a conversation earlier with one of my bosses that I created a presentation for. I didn't realize he was a rap. He liked rap, so I threw in like an ending quote was a quote from Drake. I said, "Oh gosh, I think this is a semi-conservative company. I wonder if they're gonna like that." I said, "No, Ian, they'll love it. It's gonna bring some smirk on other people." I said, "Oh, perfect, amazing." So
So, and that's a really, again, sort of an intuitive skill you develop there about having to understand what people's, how people will connect in small ways. Because that really, I mean, even though it's subtle, um, there is a way to build trust and connection there that is sometimes even unspoken, but it goes so far when we're building relationships and trust over the long term, right? Which makes business so much more fun, more reliable. Whoop. Okay, I have more comments for you, my friend, because people are just like crazy. Let's see. Our pride and joy, our Ian.
my mom,
That's your mom?
my mom, my mom.
Mom! Hi,
I'll
Mom.
be watching with my sister.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think your sister trying to introduce it. Alvin says, if you're
Oh,
talking to my big brother, awesome.
yep, he's my
Fantastic.
photography buddy.
And is that Mac?
Yeah, he's also from the Philippines. He's actually a frontline worker in the Philippines, so he's been exposed to.
Awesome. Thank you so much for what you do out there, Mac. And I love this picture of your little, that must be your baby. So
Yeah.
sweet.
Her baby Abby.
That's your sister, I'm guessing.
It's not her though. But she runs. Yeah, she runs. She ran the marathon I think a couple of years ago, the New York Marathon, New York City Marathon.
Awesome, awesome. And then
Yeah, she's my wife. So.
Oh, good. Oh, yes. If she wants to say hello, she can definitely come back in too. Awesome. So I really, again, appreciate you all chiming in there. Thank you so much
Thank you guys.
today. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit more about how you view your work as it connects to not just your own personal purpose, but like how you see it as impacting the world as a whole. Is that a fair direction to take this? Okay, so tell me a little bit about what that brings up for you when I make that.
What that brings up for me is like I've always had a quote where I think I developed it in college. Said when you want to dream, it's more like something like if you want to dream big, dream as big as you can because dreaming is free. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's more like this whole empathy and connection thing. I think it really helps with, helping with world peace in the long run. Mm-hmm. Only because it's more like a lot of conflict. Of course, we all go through conflict. We all go through challenges. We all have, family issues, daddy issues, mommy issues, and all that stuff in different levels. But then just that whole empathy and being in somebody else's shoes and walking in somebody else's shoes. If we just do more of that, I think it just really is like an inch towards world peace. Mm-hmm. And we don't need, like you said, I love the subtleties of things. I prefer the small steps because again, you can share like amazing big step, but it's a big step. The big step, somebody might be too overwhelmed and might not take that first step. But the small steps, just take one small step after the next small step after the next small step. Before you know it, you reach the top of the building, top of the mountain, and that's one of the things my wife and I love to do, like hiking. With this background is actually up, I think what maybe 5,000 feet. Oh, about maybe 6,000 feet somewhere in New Hampshire. We're seeing like the clouds and the sunset right after the rain. Um, so yeah, so that's my thing. Like it contributes to the whole world piece. I just need to have my own little piece in my own world.
Yeah.
Hopefully that resonates. So.
Yeah. Well, I talk a lot in my work about contributing to the collective, raising the collective vibration.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you're talking about. It's, once it may seem small because, I'm just one person, right? But every time we make a positive connection, every time we make somebody feel more valued, more seen, every time we make do something that's aligned with our own values and it feels right for us and positive and healthy and real, that is, even if it feels small to us, it still is contributing to the raising of that collective vibration. So absolutely, I 100% agree with you. I mean, world peace sounds like it might be a lofty goal to some, but truly, like, it takes every one of us to contribute to right.
And I think I was gonna say the funny thing too is like some of us who have this kind of like connected view of the world. I realized when I read other people that I kind of want to emulate, they also see this world in a certain way because they have experienced some hardships when they were younger, or maybe in the middle of their life in their teenager years, or there was always that triggering moment of pain that kind of like they transformed into something. Like, I don't want this pain to define me, so let me just reinvent this pain into something else.
Right. Yeah. And we talk a lot about patterns in my work too. So like, right, we have some sort of traumatic experience, whether it's small or large, but we internalize it as trauma, and all of a sudden it becomes a habit to react to that trauma. And then before we say, it's just part of my personality, when actually we're just in a habit. That's all. And we can transform that, as you have so beautifully exhibited by your story there again and again. Let's see. All right. So Tim says I have to ask you about superheroes. So what? Tell me about
superheroes. I think coming from Tim, it's more like for me, the whole superheroes is really like we had to work together where he wanted to make a difference in a young boy's life, and he reached out to me and he said, "Hey, Ian, maybe this you'll really love. He'll love a caricature of him." And Tim's part of like a Baby Yoda group. So it's a two brothers. One loves Captain America. One loves Baby Yoda. So we did like a little caricature for them. So I Tim sent me the pictures. I did a caricature. Unfortunately, one of the young boys actually passed away because he had a heart ailment. But the effect of the caricature that Tim and I collaborated on really resonated because we saw how happy the young boys were, how happy the mom was, and that whole superhero thing that Tim and I will always spoken about is more like, yes, we can be the superheroes, but then at the same time, it's also much more powerful to support the other superheroes, or find the other superheroes, or turn others to be the superheroes. And I think that's where like the whole purpose thing kind of comes into play. Kind of like, if you look at others as a superhero, it kind of gives you a humility check on yourself as well, so that you don't kind of like focus so much on yourself. You actually focus your energy towards others and not internally. So that kind of worked. And I think that's one of the things that Tim and I share a lot with. And when we talk about, that's why we like Peace in a Pod. We have that energy. So.
Yeah, definitely service oriented for sure. Right. Yeah. Awesome. Anna says small.
Yeah, Anna is my sister's best friend, and she's also in the Philippines.
Oh, very good. I love this. It's so exciting to have an international audience today. How wonderful. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. And Glow says, hi, Ian.
Part of the business network. So yeah, hello, Glow. Hello, Coach Glow. Her nephew-in-law is actually John Favreau. Her husband is John Favreau, the uncle of John Favreau, do we know, as a director of the Marvel films.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining us, everybody, today. This is wonderful. All right, so we're getting to the point in our program where we ask you about your golden nugget.
All right, golden nugget. I think there are no kids here. If there are, then I'm sorry, but
yeah, my kids haven't heard before. You did.
Yeah, I think the kids can use this in the proper context, right?
That's right. That's right.
So my golden nugget has always been like, life is full of shit, but the best shit can be the best fertilizers too. So, and I just heard my wife chuckling. Yeah. So yeah, that's my golden nugget. It's like, again, like, life throws shit anyway. Like COVID was, full a lot of shit.
A lot of shit in the background, I hear.
Exactly, but at the same time, it's fertilizer, and it's funny that my wife and I had a conversation about feces, and we saw a documentary about some folks in Africa who actually turned manure into not just fertilizer, but bioenergy.
Biofuel, yeah.
Biofuel, so.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Augie, your voice is coming from the clouds. It's like you're the voice of God.
Yeah.
Sometimes in this household I am.
Oops.
I love it. That's awesome. I'm going to have you on next.
Yes, please have her on next.
I would love to. But both of you on. That'd be amazing to have you back. All right, my friend. So tell us a little bit about any a project that you have coming up or something you'd like the audience to know before we wrap up today, and then how we can get a hold of you because you do a bunch of different things. So I'm sure they'd like to learn more about your work, and I know you're working for a wonderful company now too. You also did some amazing work with me on a graphic, which is beautiful. So thank you so much. It actually involves some cool images of being up high in the mountains. So tell us a little about like a project that you'd like us to know about or two, and then how we can get a hold of you.
Yeah, so one of the major projects that I'm working on right now is the East by Northeast Film Festival. I'll add it in my chat somewhere, where the festival is going to happen in October. So we are looking for, it's on its third year. And again, I think we're still looking for sponsors, but I think ticket sales are on. And I think East by Northeast.
East by Northeast.com.
Yep.
Okay, I'm putting it in the chat there so people can go
Awesome.
check it out.
Thank you. Yes, it's an amazing plan. I mean, it's going to be based in Newburgh, and one of the reasons why I joined this production crew is that we are also revitalizing Newburgh at the same time.
Mm-hmm. A lot of energy going on in Newburgh right now, for sure.
As you know, it's your neighboring town.
Yeah.
Just right across Beacon. So we have folks from Beacon helping out. We have folks from, again, Newburgh helping out. We have, I think, the mayor of Newburgh helping us out as well. So
awesome.
Yep. So definitely support the film festival. We'd love for it to be successful on its third year, so that it continues on and changes people's lives forever. The second, where they can reach me, again, they can just visit my website, fightingbearvisuals.com, to learn more about me and some of my work.
I'm a slow typer, everybody. Sorry. Fighting bears or bear?
Bear.
Visuals. There we go. There we are. Okay, cool.
Yep. And then if there are anybody interested, they can always reach me through my email, ian@ianlimbaga.com.
All right, awesome. I'll put that in there too, but I won't make everybody suffer through my typing a third time. All right, and Glow says that she loved that the doc on recycled crap into energy. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I would definitely check that out. So I think I've heard about it, but I haven't seen it. So yeah. Well, all right, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Merritt. Appreciate this
one. Really wonderful to have you, and Augie, and as the voice of God in the back.
Voice of God.
Thank you, Diane.
Augie, actually, but should I say it's Augie?
Augie. I'm sorry. Oh gosh, I apologize.
Augie.
I apologize.
You're actually better, because sometimes we actually tell people, "Oh, hi, my name." When she does that, "Hi, my name is Augie," and everybody says, "Oh, hi, Audrey."
Augie. So I will say. And your sister just put in the website again for us in case I typed it wrong. So thank you so much for doing that. Final thoughts? Anything else you want to share?
No, I think that's all.
All right. Yep. Okay, great. Well, so thank you again for coming in. I hope you'll come back, and with Augie, maybe the two of you can come back together and talk about, I actually had made a joke yesterday. I was at a ribbon cutting for a client of mine and a friend of mine. And I said, there's a lot of like people who are entrepreneurs and then they had their partners there. And I said, we should start a support group for entrepreneurs partners.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll
really appreciate it. So.
Totally.
All right. So I'm going to sign off with you, Herman. Thank you so much again for being here, and we'll have you back soon.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Merritt. This was amazing. See you soon. See you again.
All right. Take care. Thank you so much again, everybody, for joining us today. My name is Merritt Minnemeyer. I'm the founder and creator of Master of One Coaching. If you want more information about Master of One Coaching and the work we do here with leaders and helping people become world-changing leaders and based on their incredible visions and doing that without losing their marbles, please join us at masterofonecoaching.com. Sign up for my newsletter. You'll get regular notifications about our Leadership Live and other tips and tricks on leadership, and we'd love to see you there. So thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you for joining us again, and we will see you next week. Take care.